Hey, what's up, guys? Riff here. So it's been a minute since we looked at any updates regarding the Ethan Klein copyright infringement lawsuits he's filed against Denims, Frogan, and Kaceytron. You might guess already, things are not looking good, and it's really getting worse by the day. But luckily for these three stooges who are receiving these lawsuits, a savior has come. And that's, of course, Hasan Piker, who's not going to donate to their GoFundMes or do anything like that. But what he is going to do is tell Ethan to stop it. Yeah, that's right. It's time to stop Ethan Klein, according to Hasan. But we're going to get into all that in just a minute. But I want to do a quick reminder. A couple weeks ago, I announced my new collaboration with Epic Desk. This new drop I did with my wife, Darling Straw, features our two VTuber models on these desk mats. And honestly, they look gorgeous. I hate to be biased here, but no, these are great. And they will be no longer available after October 3rd. But thanks to a great amount of sales, we're kind of close to a new threshold where we might get an extension. So if people want to have extra time, they can do so. And here's the other one as well. It looks really great. I'm proud of this collaboration, and I greatly appreciate the crazy amount of support we have gotten on these desk mats. And yeah, I'll put a link to this in the pinned comment, and make sure to get these before they are gone. So let's go back to the lawsuits. Of course, the three subjects: Kaceytron, Frogan, and Denims. Now, today we're going to focus mostly on Kaceytron, who's been having a rough go of things recently. And these two, well, not much better, but Kaceytron is the one who was received this lawsuit because of her quote-unquote reaction to Ethan Klein's video titled Content Nuke Hasan. In that quote-unquote reaction, she spent more time taking bong rips than providing commentary. It's almost impressively ridiculous. But her GoFundMe is, well, the best out of the three, but it's still far away from her $100,000 goal. She's still sitting at $48,000. Keep in mind, she got most of that, like over 40 of it in the first week. And since then, it's been well over 3 months. So obviously things have really died off for her GoFundMe and the rest of the GoFundMes as well. But recently we learned when Kaceytron was at the 44,000 mark, she tried to settle, which is very interesting. This was kind of under the radar for a bit, but Ethan said this: Kaceytron, you raised $44,500. You offered me $17,500. This leaves over $27,000. Under no circumstances have you paid your lawyers $27,000 in a very short window, by the way. What were you planning on doing with the remaining money? Trying to catch a payday? I rejected her offer, obviously. So yeah, that's pretty suspicious. For her to spend $27,000 on attorney's fees in a very short period of time like that, hard to believe, okay? Here's the thing with GoFundMes. If they press her on this, let's say they did settle for some reason, right? Her GoFundMe is for the purposes of the lawsuit, nothing else. There's no leftovers that you get to take, right? It's supposed to all go towards the lawsuit. And if they pressed her on this and they try to see the bills that she had and it doesn't match up with what she's claiming here in this proposed settlement, she would have potentially lost everything because they would refund everything she has received because she's broken the terms of her GoFundMe. So that would have been a very bad move, even if Ethan did allow her to settle, but I think we're way past anything like that. But she would respond to that Ethan's post on Twitter saying, "You aren't going to threaten my entire livelihood with frivolous lawsuits and just get away with it, Ethan Klein. I'm going to expose the suffering that you're making me, an innocent white woman, go through every step of the way." Amazing stuff. Anything but accountability. If you kind of flip the roles here, let's say Hasan was suing someone who was a white woman, and if they responded by saying, "You're making me, an innocent white woman, go through this," they would laugh her into oblivion, right? They would mock her endlessly for trying to play that card, but Kaceytron somewhat gets away with it. Of course, some people are clowning on her, but this is a really desperate reach, and I've heard some theories about her that maybe she's the most masterful troll. Who knows? But at the end of the day, would it be worth all this? I definitely am sure that it's not. But you can see, innocent white woman, on one day, and on another day, she attacks another white woman, this time shoe on head, where someone was criticizing her recent video condemning political violence, specifically the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And in response, Kaceytron calls her the pick-me supreme. Yeah, leave it to her to tear down other women over absolute nonsense. Apparently, it is a pick-me opinion to condemn political violence, to not want someone shot through their neck because they have a different opinion as you. That's pick-me behavior. If you don't know what a pick-me is, by the way, it's what people call a woman who has an opinion that they believe is only created because they want to impress men. It's a very ridiculous thing to say. It's overused. It's just like incel, which, of course, Kaceytron would know about. Keyword search incel on her Twitter account. It is astonishing. It is literally astonishing. And by the way, the sort of pick-me behavior or language she's using, that's typically what an incel says, right? So it's very ironic, but let's look at the other people in the lawsuit. Frogan, the Froganator, the two-time rising Twitch star, not much going on. She felt a little over the top, a little extra by making her goal $200,000, twice of everyone else in this lawsuit. And she's stuck at $37,000. So she's got a long way to go. Maybe if we give her the next, let's see, 100 or so years, she'll get there. But yeah, it's clearly not enough. If she really believed she needed $200,000 and that's all she's got, well, she must be in some pretty big trouble. But as you can see with this GoFundMe, you can see the most recent ones. I mean, 6 days ago was the last one. It was for $5. Like, it's tough sledding out there. And for Denims, it's not going much better. She's at $42,000 out of her $100,000 goal. And again, if you look at the most recent stuff here, last one, $10 6 days ago. Just not looking too great for the Three Stooges here. They're in big trouble. And every attorney who weighed in on this set of lawsuits, all of them pretty much were strongly advising these three to settle as fast as humanly possible. Hey, maybe even try to apologize to Ethan Klein, because he was very open to all these things in the beginning, but they doubled down. They liked the attention, so they kept running with it and doubling down and tripling down and quadrupling down. And now this thing's going to drag out. It appears that the time for settlements is over, and these three are going to be in it for the long haul. This is something that might go on for 1 or 2 years. And with that comes a lot of public humiliation, a lot of people like myself continuing to farm this situation for content, and also the bill's going to keep rising. The cost of having these attorneys on for 1 to 2 years is going to be astronomical. And that GoFundMe that is not increasing at any sort of a significant rate is going to continue to be less valuable and less valuable. And it's going to be really bad when eventually there is some sort of a punishment handed down by the courts, and the award could be devastating. But anyways, don't worry. Someone is here to save the day, to get them out of this legal pickle they're facing. And that, of course, is Hasan Piker, who has some very strong words for Ethan Klein in the form of, stop it. Leave them alone. Well, it's a little bit too late for that. If he really wanted to help, he should have been doing this a long time ago. But yeah, a little too late for this sort of plea to Ethan Klein to do the right thing in his mind while also insulting him during the process. Let's listen to this clip.
Drop the lawsuits, Ethan. Drop the lawsuits. You know they're frivolous. You know it has nothing to do with copyright or anything like that. You'll win a lot more good favor if you were to do that. I know you think that the people that you're attacking are unfavorable by the new audience that you have cultivated, but it's a good gesture. I'm sure he's not actually going to lay off regardless. He just seems like a petty tyrant himself, just so thin-skinned, so narcissistic. He feels like when people have wronged him in his mind, he just never stops. It's clear to me. The reason why I say that is because he didn't stop even when his own fans were like, dude, just shut the up about this. Like, okay, we got it. We hate Hasan. He sucks.
So there's a lot to unpack there, obviously. So beginning with the whole appeal to emotion, saying like this will give you good favor with who, I guess, Hasan? The subjects of the lawsuits, the communities, is that what they're implying? I'm not really sure, but that is 100% not true. We've seen, no matter what Ethan says, it'll never appease the people who are criticizing him, especially content creators and their communities. These Hasan orbiters, for example, their communities will never have a better view of Ethan, no matter what he says. So that's a very weak thing to be pushing, and also calling him a petty tyrant and so narcissistic. Pot calling the kettle black. Are you serious? This guy, do we have to pull up like the GQ articles or something to understand what a narcissist looks like? It's absolutely insane. But of course, he really harps on this fact that these claims are so frivolous. Nothing to do with copyright. Notice how he doesn't actually explain why. How people like Hasan or his orbiters or anyone, they can never actually explain to you why they're frivolous. Now, the choice to call them frivolous is very funny because apparently it was not frivolous to the representation of Denims, who also represents Kaceytron, so I'm assuming they did the same thing over there. They did not file a motion to dismiss. If they thought it was a frivolous claim, that's what you would do. They didn't do that. So clearly they're taking it seriously. They don't think it's frivolous. They know they're going to have to go and fight this. They didn't even bother with the motion to dismiss. So I don't really want to hear a legal eagle here trying to tell us something that just doesn't make sense from a common sense perspective. And if you hear someone like Legal Mindset, an actual attorney, which Hasan has said is a fake attorney, which is slanderous to say the least, he says, Hasan, please stop pretending you understand anything about copyright law. You can barely read properly. I mean, what else do I say? If you want to check out a mountain of criticism about Hasan and these lawsuits and how the trio is reacting to things, you can check out Legal Mindset's channel. But there's another development here, and I want to give you the context first. So recently, Ethan Klein has returned to TikTok, and he's had a lot to say. He's been defending himself, but he's also been going back and looking at some things he's said over the years and wanted to expand on them and even apologize in some circumstances. And he's trying to basically create some bridge over there. Do I think it's going to work? Probably not. Because people, when they make their mind up about you, especially when it comes to the things he's talked about here, like Israel-Palestine, they don't want to hear you. In fact, I've seen clips where they're begging Ethan Klein, we reacted to it on this channel, where they were begging him out in the streets to say, free Palestine. He did it. And then they trashed him and called him a Zionist and a horrible person in the comments anyways. It was ridiculous. But that's what I'm referring to, and I hinted at it earlier in the previous clip. Hasan is saying, drop the lawsuits. This would be a good start. The guilt tripping is insane, and honestly, it's really just gaslighting. He's trying to pressure Ethan and give him false hope that if he drops this stuff, all of the haters, all of the skulls being sent to your house, all of the fake CPS calls made against your family by these communities, it's all going to stop. This is a chance to rewrite history.
Okay? Down to YouTubers who spent the last 2 years cementing their legacy as rapacious dick riders of Israel by trying to deplatform all of its prominent critics. Of course, they still, on the one hand, are seemingly proud of their accomplishments in that time period, while simultaneously trying to rewrite the narrative as though they did not actively try to call every somewhat brown or Muslim-sounding critic of Israel a terrorist, an Islamist fundamentalist terrorist of the highest order that deserves not only scrutiny, but also potential prosecution. Definitely deplatforming, so much so that the entire platform that hosts any sort of dissent against Israel and Israel's genocide must also suffer material harm. Wonder who I'm talking about. Wonder who I could be referencing. A person who now that TikTok is back in the hands of someone who is sympathetic to the Zionist cause, might be trying to rewrite history. There are things that people like this could do, like, I don't know, drop the frivolous litigation pursuit. That could be a good start for people to let bygones be bygones. I don't know if it would rewrite the history.
Also, did you hear the language where he said everyone who's brown or somewhat brown? You do realize he included that last part to include himself, who he has described as white passing at times. He wanted to add himself in with that language. He couldn't go a full commitment, so he called himself somewhat. Interesting. But anyways, he says again, drop the frivolous litigation. It could be a start. Don't know if it would rewrite your history. So there's your answer. It won't. It will not rewrite history. These people have made their minds up about you. They have created a caricature of what they want you to be, the enemy they want you to be, and they will never allow you to twist that or bring it down to reality, no matter what you do. No matter how much you shake the truth in front of them, no matter how much you apologize or try to make things right or take a step in the right direction, it won't be good enough. You should only do things if you really believe it. If you really believe you got something wrong or you want to take a different path, that's when you should do it. But don't do it to appease someone who's clearly an enemy. It's like the bully who's hitting on you and then you start fighting back and they go, whoa, stop it. Hold on a second. People are going to think you're a real bad guy for doing this. Like, it's so ridiculous. I think everyone's just tired of hearing this. And this really, to me, just looks like desperation. Because if you need to bring in the big guns here with Hasan, and the best he can do is say, drop the lawsuits and maybe we won't be mad at you anymore. Not looking good for these three right here. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.